Today on the theme, we are discussing catalyzing the EV revolution in India, and we have a very special guest, Mr. Suman Mishra, who's leading the electric three-wheeler revolution in India with Mahindra Electric. First of all, Suman, I would like to understand about the rise and upsurge in the electric three-wheeler specifically. What has really helped industry in terms of government initiative, policies, and also the acceptance in the market.
Yes. So great. First of all, thanks for doing this, and I'm happy to be here. Um, Really, if you think about it, India has been a leader in establishing the policy framework for the last mile segment, as we like to call it, the three-wheelers. And this is really, a fully enabling ecosystem. And we have learned along the way, the country has learned along the way as electrification has increased, and the government has then made many supportive policies. As you know, it started with only demand side incentive called FAME. Then the FAME, realizing that there is a upfront cost gap, the FAME also came with road tax registration waiver, etc. Then realizing that the domestic value addition may not be adequate, we have moved on to PLI, auto and auto component. And finally, the PLI ACC, because even if we did the domestic value addition in India, which we are very proud to do, way higher than the requisite amount in Mahindra last mile. But the battery manufacturing was always cell manufacturing was always going to be constrained. So then came the ACC PLI. So, with the evolution in the schemes, then there are incentives for charging ecosystem players, and the government is constantly looking at a way to enable the ecosystem. So definitely, policy has played a major role in enabling the electrification. On the customer side, the customer loves this product. The customer gets a much better drive quality, a ride and handling experience. It is a far more inclusive product in the way that, everyone can now drive it. Women and older people who may have faced challenges earlier, even some physically challenged, everybody can now drive it because electric vehicles are just simpler to drive and give a better ride quality and driving experience. But their only problem was obviously the upfront higher cost. But from a total cost of ownership basis, they save significantly when you move to electrification. And therefore, coupled with the ride quality, ease of driving, as well as the total cost of ownership, the customers have also loved it. So now I think we just stay the curve and wait for the transformation of this category to electrification.
Right. Additionally, what kind of support do you need to sustain this kind of surge going forward? And what does industry also needs to do, to come along the way while government is supporting with incentives, and customers are also now trying to accept, but industry need to come up with new great products. What should be the way forward from here?
Yeah, so let me again disaggregate it into 3 parts. One is at the L5 category, we are like 10% electrified. So it's still early days. If you think about the curve, we have to reach something like 30% electrification for it to sort of be visible everywhere and therefore, really reach the inflection point. So a few things from the government side would be, first is policy consistency and visibility. So let's have a 5-year program with all the policies that are there so that all the OEMs and the customers know where we are going with this direction. And specifically, I would request continuation of the demand side incentives. I mean, it doesn't come to the OEM, it goes to the customer, and it eases the upfront burden on the higher upfront cost. In particularly this category, which is inclusive income generating category, it is important that the customer doesn't feel the pinch when he's going to buy, because we know the EMI he will definitely be able to do. So one is continuation of the demand side incentive. The second area would be possibly a priority sector lending for this category of customers, because they really need the better interest rates so that they can, or a higher LTV, so that they can really go and scale up. This from the government request. From the OEM side, we really need to think scale and think big. because one is obviously making products, but also can we do it at the scale so that we start getting scale efficiencies?
Right.
Second, can we think also global exports? India is one of the largest export markets for three-wheelers. Can our products be exported? Can we make it the right design, the right value proposition? So it also meets the export requirements. I think from the OEM side, apart from giving fit for purpose products, because in EV, there is a little bit of that you have to only give the product that will sell. You don't want to over spec it because it becomes too expensive. So
Right.
we will give fit for purpose product. We will think scale and we should think global. I think those are the points I would say from the OEM side.
That's a great way to sum up. You talked about fit to purpose and also that it will become expensive if you talk about specification. And with specification, we make it aspirational for the customers because then only they want to buy certain new things in their life. So, but India is this is a price sensitive market. What is your view on that? And how do we take things forward from here?
Yeah, and so that is exactly the challenge that we have to face with EVs, where we have to optimize. So the functional requirement, which is the most expensive requirement, right? Range. This is still cells are the most expensive, battery box are the most expensive part of the vehicle. So the range we should optimize to what the customer needs.
Right.
And you give them the aspirational future. Like, for example, our product comes with a connected application. He can see where the vehicle is placed. He can see how much range is there. Comes with good interfaces. It can come with other accessories, like the cargo products can come with a lot better features around driver comfort.
Right.
So we can give features that are aspirational, maybe hopefully designed at some point. We can give features that are aspirational, but the high cost feature, we should fit for purpose for functionality. I think that's how we need to look at it because I personally believe that there is a pride of association with electric vehicles today. Our customers like driving that and they like being the revolution. They are not shy about it. They like to be the one who is leading the change in their micro market. So to enable the pride of association, we should give features and functionalities that enable driver comfort and are aspirational, but make the functional requirements exactly what they need.
Right.
If my customer needs 100 kilometers, I don't need to give a 200-kilometer pack just so
Right.
that the cost efficiencies are met. I think that's how you think about it, Deepanshu. As the battery cost curve, cell cost curve comes down, then even those requirements then can be optimized.
Got it. Got it. So the other part of is this sustainable mobility we're talking about here. Three-wheelers. You have given all the insights. Now talking about the other segments, and would like to have your view on that as well, specifically on two-wheelers because India is moving on two-wheelers. What is your view on that particular segment? How do you think it's really scaling up right now, and do there is a scope going ahead?
See, first, I'm super excited that India leads the technology revolution of two-wheelers. We have the best two-wheeler electric products. I mean, OEM agnostic, right? We have the best designs. We have the best products. And technology-wise, the technology resides in India. So it is quite an exciting thing that we have been able to create this knowledge and know-how. Now, regarding penetration and the growth curve and scale, as long as the customer sees the value proposition, the switch is going to happen. So I don't think anything can really stop the switch from happening if the customer can see that there is benefit in him driving an electric vehicle. And yes, there was some subsidy glitches, but you can see even after the subsidy tapered a bit, the volumes are still up. So yes, and like everything, it will not happen overnight. All of these need sustained effort by everyone who is participating in the ecosystem, whether it is two-wheeler or three-wheeler. We need to be focused and we need to play the long game. And in doing so, make sure that India is the hub of domestic production, domestic know-how, engineering talent, service talent, and we can truly transform, the ecosystem when we do so.
Right. So, Suman, let's compare the two segments, electric three-wheelers and electric two-wheelers, right? Electric three-wheelers are now surpassing the sales of the ICE vehicles, and in terms of two-wheelers, we're still not there. Uh, what is the difference between the two segments in the approach? What has worked for
Yeah,
three?
I think it's not surpassing the sales. I think if you include e-rickshaws, which are
Right.
100% electric, that's how the math is made to be more than 50%, but it's only 10%.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
actually only 10% of the autos, the high-speed autos that we drive in all the cities. We are only at 10% electric penetration. Only if you include e-rickshaws. But e-rickshaw is a completely different category. And we really need better reinforcement of regulation there, like the manufacturing, the types of players who do this, the type of safety requirements that are made and met. There needs to be a little bit tighter regulation around e-rickshaws. But autos, we are only around 10%. Cargo is 14 and passenger is like 8%. So
Right.
we are way behind the actual, we are not there. We have to reach 30%. I think just by coupling these two categories together, everybody makes that assessment. The only upside is it's still on three wheels and people have figured out how to charge lead acid battery. If they have figured out how to charge lead acid battery, then they will figure out how to charge lithium ion battery. So that becomes a solvable problem for me, and I'm not so obsessed about charging.
Right, right, right. So there's one more important component in this whole acceleration towards green mobility, and that is the building's resilient supply chain, because we as the industry is still dependent upon certain things from exports on from the imports. But there are companies in India now starting to manufacturing cells and battery packs, etc., etc. How do you see this ecosystem growing going forward? And by 2030, do you think we'll be really there competing with the other global markets?
So, like for our products, except for semiconductors and the cells, no, even battery pack we make in-house, everything else is made in India. And that is true for many of the larger players now who are working towards this outcome. The cells we need to start making in India. It's really not prudent to import such large component, so high value component from outside. But then we recognize that the scale has already been set up in China.
Right.
Right? It has very large factory. It has the world's top 1, 2, 3, 4 suppliers.
Mm.
So, and they're supplying to the world. So only, I think apart from, I'm less worried about semiconductors because, they are still, there is some talk about Foxconn and others establishing. But what we need to have successfully implemented by 2030 is cell manufacturing in India. It may not be large enough to export to the world, but it should help meet our domestic requirements. And that is very crucial to just make this, protected from external shocks and also not leave a lot of value in the import value chain. But it will happen. You know that the PLI ACC scheme has come. A lot of players have bid, and people who have not bid and won are also anyway going to make their cells and packs because people have realized, right, that this is a very high value component which we need to have some sort of control on. So people are working towards that, and I'm pretty confident that it will happen. It may take a little bit longer because it's chemistry. It takes a little bit longer to make it with the efficiency, with the packing. You have to learn, right? It's a lot. So we are behind by 10 years. So now we will have to catch up on this curve, and I hope this curve is the one that catches up faster than any other curves. And looking at the solar value chain, where we have actually done it.
Mm. Right.
We used to be in the same situation when the solar industry was in this stage, and we have actually done it in the solar value chain. So I feel optimistic that we will be able to do it here as well. Fingers crossed, but it shall happen.
Right.
I'm an optimist.
Yeah, for sure. Last question on the in the ecosystem is the important component of the recycling, because there are a lot of environment hazards, and everything we are doing right now when we talk about green mobility is to save the planet, save pollution, and all those things. Uh, how do you see the ecosystem developing for that, and what kind of responsibilities do OEMs and government take on that side?
You know that the regulations are out for the EPR, right? Extended Producer Responsibilities. And yes, we have to take responsibility to close the value chain. So we are in very advanced stages of partnerships with several players who are setting up the ecosystem. And I have full faith that, by the time the vehicles come back, we will be able to solve this. It's not a very unsolvable problem. It just needs another scale player to participate. Today, there are smaller players. Either they scale up, or some of the OEMs go and take a at scale position there, or some other company does it. But this is another part. But it is happening, right? It's not zero today. It's non-zero. For the products that is coming back, we are able to figure out how to recycle it. But it's happening. It's happening in very small pockets. We will also have to scale it up. But like I said, if you're at 10% penetration, by the time you reach 30, 35, 40% penetration, all these problems will be solved. Just because it makes economic sense for players to participate in the space. They're not doing it for environment. They have to make money, right, from recycling and selling back the lithium. So the volume has to be of that size to allow them to make economic sense. So that's why it's a pilot. It will always lag our OEM a bit, but it is going to happen. This is happening already. So I'm quite comfortable with it. As we start seeing value addition, I'm sure a lot of players are going to jump into that space.
Got it. Thank you so much, Suman, for joining us today.
And it was nice. Thanks, Deepanshu. Always nice to talk to you.
Thank you.